freeze?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Good.
You're on.
Hello, everyone. This is Sarah Parisien from Conversations with the Blog, and today I'm here with Mayor Hagerty, where we are discussing back to school in the Evanston community. So, how are you?
I'm good. I can't believe the summer went this fast,
Yeah.
and it's already time to get back to school.
Perfect.
Seems like it went too quickly.
Yes. So, these questions are coming not only from me, but it's a collective voice of the youth perspective.
Okay, sure.
So,
Sure.
what they want to know is, what are your priorities when it comes to youth in the community?
Yeah. I would like to see us focus on, you continue to focus on youth development activities in the community. You know, as a board member of YOU, I think it's a great organization. I think we have so many great organizations. But if you listen to young people in the community, they'll still say, hey, there's not enough for us to do, mayor or alderman. And so we've been working with aldermen on, okay, what can we do? And there's been some after school programs and some programs that are set up on half days, which more kids are getting involved in, where we've opened up rec centers and things like that. So I'd certainly like to see us do that. I'd also like to see us really get more energy behind a sort of mayor's youth advisory board, and it's something that, you know, we went out and talked with Miss Boyd last year, and some students came together. I'd really like to see more energy, you know, put behind that, because I think there's a lot that students are interested in about their own local government and getting involved and understanding, you know, issues around the police here in Evanston or Parks and Rec or other areas that we have in town, and there's more that we can do there. But I certainly need sort of youth leadership to sort of step up and say, Mayor, we'd really like to do this, and I'm happy to sort of work with them and get that off the ground.
Right. Thank you. So, in terms of equity, what are your goals for Evanston?
You know, I'm really proud that we got the Equity Empowerment Commission up and running. At the end of this year, actually 18, I really want to see that we have changed, you know, a couple policies or practices here in Evanston at the city government level that have created more, you know, inequities in Evanston. And I think the schools, particularly District 202 and ETHS, has really been a leader, more so than anyone in District 65. And I think the city's slightly behind that. But what I will say is, having, you know, been out around the country talking to other mayors, a lot of them are looking to Evanston and saying, wow, what are you guys doing here? So, you know, I'd like to see, again, by the end of this year, the Equity Empowerment Commission will be coming to the City Council with some recommendations, and I'll continue to support that and work with the council members to see if we can't get, you know, changes that we think are different. So one small example, right, of this would be the beach token program. Okay, that we have. So lots of young people and families and everybody use the beach. One of the big complaints is that, you know, you have to pay money to use the beach. And people say, well, this isn't right, especially if you're a lower income family here in Evanston. So one of the things I'm really proud is the city, you know, loosened up its rules, worked with the school, and basically said, look, if you're getting free or reduced lunch at the school, we will basically automatically qualify you and make you, you know, submit separate paperwork and everything else. So that's like one, you know, example of what's been done, and I think there's more opportunities for that.
Great. So the education gap is something that affects children in the Evanston community, which could negatively impact the success rate of children of color along with other minority groups. So why do you think that is?
Well, I think there's a couple of reasons. One is there's a socioeconomic issue here, and, you know, you look at families that have more money, the amount of money that they're able to invest in their children and everything, and when they get into first grade, you know, their level of readiness is pretty significant. So there's a socioeconomic issue, and that's been documented by academics. But holding steady for that, there also is an issue of race, and that's, you know, proven in all of these studies. And you know, I am pleased that we live in a city that actually recognizes that and isn't just saying it's socioeconomics alone, and is trying to sort of break down those barriers and say, okay, what can we do? Part of the other problem is, you know, again, we know that kids are already coming to first grade and there's already a gap. All right, so then when we start to see this in the tests, come third grade, about that gap, it's extremely frustrating to everybody, to the educators in this community. And I think there's real commitment in this community to work towards that. I think the whole Evanston Cradle to Career effort, it's headed up by Sheila Murray and all of these different groups that participate, is working to, again, address, inequities that are there, and make sure that we are providing, additional help to children of color and children that have lower income, to try and help them, because we're going to be stronger as a community and stronger, frankly, as a country, if we have the diversity of socioeconomics, race, ethnicity throughout all of our professions, and ultimately that's what we need. So.
Right. So what is your goal for closing that gap?
My goal for closing that gap is to really, again, from the city perspective, we don't run the schools, right? The schools are separately governed and everything. But my goal would be to really continue to focus and invest in Cradle to Career. And a lot of Cradle to Career has been early childhood literacy work that they're doing, so that we have children, better prepared by the time they're going into first grade. And, I've been actively participating in that and will continue to be.
Right. So with school starting on Monday, what is your message to students?
Well, my first message to students is, take all the opportunities that are out there to learn. You go to one of the most remarkable public high schools in all of America, and there's so many opportunities. I remember when I took Leadership Evanston many years ago, and we had this day, and I was assigned to go out to ETHS. We had 300 electives. I mean, that is just mind-boggling. I went to a big public high school, 2,000 kids, but it wasn't anywhere near the caliber of ETHS, and we didn't have near that type of elective. So there's so many opportunities to learn and to grow, and take those opportunities, too, to get to know people that are different than you. And you're blessed, again, to go to a school that is not this homogeneous, population. Again, it's diverse in socioeconomics and race, ethnicity, and that really is a blessing, and it really is going to make for stronger communities and a stronger country later on. So, and have fun. School is fun, and try not to get one other thing. Try not to get too stressed out. I know it's academically rigorous and it's challenging. Everybody goes through those challenges, and just be kind and look out for your fellow classmates. And if you see somebody struggling, ask them if they need help. Or if you really see somebody struggling, don't hesitate to tell, to mention it to an adult or somebody there at the school.
Right. So what do you have to say to the students that the education gap impacts? So a message for that.
It's frustrating that there is an achievement gap out there, but you are you, and your attitude matters. How hard you choose to work matters. How disciplined and focused you are matters. Don't think that everything is external. You have a lot of power, and there are a lot of incredible stories in our own community and, again, throughout this country, of people who didn't have much means and maybe came from a broken home or a low-income home, whatever it is, who have gone on to do incredible things in life. And there's no reason why everyone at that school can't, if they work hard and they have a positive attitude and they're persistent and they look to others for help. People generally want to help other people. And so that would be a few of my thoughts.
Right. So earlier this year, a basketball player from Evanston Township High School made a great buzzer beater shot. They gave him a lot of recognition, and he was later given a day in his honor. So why was that, and what was it supposed to mean to that community?
You know what? I'm glad you asked that question. So that was an amazing basketball game. They won at the very end. A freshman, I believe, named Blake Peters. You were at that game. How incredible! You were at that game. Made this incredible shot. I can tell you, Blake Peters probably couldn't even tell you what his day is. I couldn't tell you what day it was. But the reason that council members and I thought it was important to recognize it is it brought an incredible amount of positive attention to Evanston. Look, that shot was on ESPN. It was viewed more than 2 million times. And to me, the reality is all of these issues, some of these issues that you and I have talked about today, whether it's the achievement gap or struggles that lower income students and families may have in Evanston, these are real challenges, and they're tough. And the fact of the matter is, sports is a metaphor that the nearly impossible is sometimes possible, and we can make progress on these really difficult issues like equity and the achievement gap. And we need to be reminded, and I think sports can help us, recall that, wow, that was virtually impossible, and yet he got it. So for me, that's what it was about. And some people pushed back and said, oh, well, there's other people more worthy to be recognized. We recognize lots and lots of events or organizations with proclamations. All you have to do is really come to the mayor and say, hey, I really think we should recognize, this event or whatever. I mean, heck, we've recognized the monarch butterflies. So Blake Peters, incredible shot, but he's right up there with getting a proclamation with the monarch butterflies and the Cradle, which does amazing work for adoptions, or Rotary International, which is working to eliminate polio. Those are my thoughts on that.
Right.
Yeah.
So what are some do's and don'ts that high school students should follow with the school year starting?
Don't do drugs. Don't drink alcohol. And take good care of yourself. And in your personal health, and having healthy relationships, right, with other people. Those are really important. I mean, I mentioned earlier the importance, I think, particularly in this day and age, and the overall atmosphere that frankly the president seems to push. Be kind, to one another. Everybody has a struggle that they're working through. I don't care how on the outside successful they may seem. They have a struggle. So don't forget that. Have a good attitude and work really hard. There's great things that so many students, and I think all the students are capable of achieving at ETHS.
Right. So what are some industries that ETHS students should start looking into right now?
Oh, gosh. I definitely think that, there are so many thriving industries out there. There is a manufacturing industry in the U.S. There are many students that, hey, college isn't right for them. One of the things that we're working on here, my office, along with the schools and Youth Job Center and others here in Evanston, is this whole workforce development program. So there's going to be a career night this year coming up in March, and we did the first one last year, that is about sort of careers that don't require you to go to college. Yes, you're going to have some additional technical training on that. We've been working with Oakton Community College and others. I would really encourage students to come to that. In fact, I've got an article coming out in this week's roundtable, I believe, an op-ed piece that I wrote about this whole Elevate Evanston and focus on workforce development for young people that are graduating from high school that aren't going into that college track. And the fact of the matter is, there are amazing careers that don't require a college degree, and you can be entrepreneurial in those careers and everything else. So I mean, for others, I mean, look, I think the industries that are really need great minds are certainly anything with cyber. So if you're into computers and cybersecurity, huge issue. If you're into the environment, okay, and clean energy, another growing industry. Healthcare is still a huge industry. We've got, despite the Affordable Care Act, which again I think is doing some good things for people and families in the country, huge opportunities in the health environment, even the business that I started years ago that's in the emergency management industry services. There was just a report out of Wall Street that said that industry is going to double in the next 6 years by 2024. And that, again, is a result of climate change and larger disasters and more frequent disasters. So those are ones just off the top of my head that come to mind.
Right. So what did you do in high school and college that attributed to your success today?
I was involved in lots of different activities in high school. Mine tended to be on the sports side, and I was on the football team. I was also on the field hockey team. There were a few people at graduation. They heard a whole story about field hockey, but I was at the field hockey team my senior year. I was the only boy that played on the girls' field hockey team. That was an experience. Swim team, and then I was on the track team. But I think that the most valuable experience for me was probably starting to work during the summers, from going into the 8th grade on, and I worked for a building contractor for five summers, and basically I painted everything that he put up. So I didn't know anything about painting, but I did a lot of manual labor. And when I then got into college, I had a painting business that I started for a couple of years, and I made really good money. Really good money, and by doing that work, I learned that, wow, I really like accomplishing a job. Like if I painted this office, I could sit back and go, wow, look at what I just accomplished in the last 6 hours. Like I really liked that feeling, but I also realized, wow, this is really hard work. This manual labor. And so I think that motivated me more to do well in college. But it also gave me a taste for being an entrepreneur, which carried over as I became an adult.
Right.
So I think those were pretty important experiences that I had.
Right. So last question. So what about Evanston made you want to run for mayor?
Evanston very much, I think, mimics the real world, okay, in all those ways that I mentioned, socioeconomically, racially, ethnically. We're 75,000 people. We've got, again, a billionaire or two that live in Evanston, and 40% of the kids that are in free or reduced lunch. We've got, 63%, 65% of the population is Caucasian, the remainder of color. And so I just really like the fact that this, in many ways, mimics the real world, but it's 75,000 people. We have an incredible abundance of talent and resources and knowledge and passion in this community, and I believe that putting that all together, we can actually make progress on some of these issues that we've talked about today and other issues that the City Council is working on. And I think that that's unique. I think, honestly, when you get to the state level or the federal level, you're overwhelmed. Where do we even begin? The problems are so large. And here in Evanston, we're this wonderful community, but we are a work in progress, right? We still have challenges, but again, because of that talent and the knowledge and the resources and the passion, I think we can move forward. So that motivated me to want to, become the mayor of the city.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Sarah.
Again.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, this has been Sarah Parisien with Evanston Live TV with Conversations from the Block. And tune in for next month's episode with my co-host, Kyle Wilson. So thank you so much again.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Goodbye, everyone.